Hi Aquarius, welcome to June 2020. This is Eclipse season. It is a very important celestial checkpoint in this unusual year that is 2020, and for you this is going to be incredibly transformative, incredibly unusual. But you like unusual, you don't so much like change, but don't worry. The lunar eclipse in Sagittarius is in your 11th house. It is a lot to do with, well, the 11th house is your house, you understand it, but it's a lot to do with trying to connect to something greater than we are, you know, an ideology or a group, a particular set of small, you know, a small society like our, the people we work with, the people that we are friends with, the people we interact with. It's kind of like your own personal chat room. And to have an eclipse there is a bit of a signal, Aquarius, that where something isn't working, where your connections with certain people, certain structures, certain ideologies is no longer working, it can feel very frightening to you because that is who you are. You have this deeper connection to humanity. You know, you have this greater responsibility to humanity, to your friendships, to your society than most people. You're obviously the most innovative sign. You are a beacon of social change. But to have an eclipse in your 11th house can make you feel a little bit like it's changing completely who you are. And that can feel quite scary. You know, being an Aquarius and being a fixed sign, you both crave change. You crave a flexibility in the world to move with the future, but you're also quite fixed in the sense that you're already there. You're already in the future. You're just waiting for everyone else to catch up, but you don't necessarily work so well with the changes. And so the letting go during this eclipse is going to feel a little bit like shedding a skin. But the reason that is happening, Aquarius, is a lot to do with the way that you work, a lot today with the way that you live on a day-to-day basis. The things that you can and cannot do. Can you continue working in the same job you're in? Can you continue living the same day-to-day lifestyle? Whatever it is. I know that's quite vague, but our day-to-day lifestyle is so personal to each of us. And the solar new moon eclipse in Cancer, which is your 6th house of habit and day-to-day and work and routine and your health, is going to bring in a new change of how you live your life, of how you live your day-to-day. So what do you want it to be? Because now is the time to reach for it. It just so happens that you have to let go of the way things are now a bit. And some of you might think, hell yes, I'm ready to let go of the way things are. I don't like it, I'm not comfortable with it. But if there's any limitations on the way you think you should be living or the way you would like to live, it's time to address it. It's time to let those go. So, Venus is still retrograde in Gemini until June 25th. And in that time, it is very likely that you are in some way still releasing the past, particularly in love, particularly in romance, of course, particularly in how you create, what you would like to create. Because creativity is a big deal to people, especially when you find yourself, when you're interested in things like astrology and interested in tarot and interested in the esoteric and the occult. A lot of the time you're a naturally creative person. It's the side of your brain that you operate from. And many people are so disappointed in themselves for what they create. And it's only because there is this blockage of perfectionism that I see in Aquarians quite a lot. It's not talked about, but I often see that Aquarians, when they're creating something, they have to go through a great evolution to get there. A lot of the people in groups, in bands, for example, that go solo, are typically Aquarians. And they have to go through this bit of a metamorphosis in order to get there, where they have to break free from the group style and they have to find their own. So for example, let's use an Aquarian example for this sake, Harry Styles, who left One Direction. Well, One Direction disbanded and he left, and he picked up quite a different style, quite a unique retro vintage style. Even in the United Kingdom, back in the 90s, Robbie Williams was an Aquarius. and he left, and it was because his style was too rebellious for the band he was in, so he was actually kicked out. This lunar eclipse is a lot to do where you're no longer fitting in where you are, and you have to make a change. And it's not comfortable, and it's not easy, but it's worth it. Because as I say, this solar eclipse in Cancer at the end of the month is going to give you an opportunity for how you live your life, to create something new, to create something exciting, to create something more you. Saturn, your root. Oh. The Sun. To create something so much more you, something so much more joyous, something so much more fun, something so much more vibrant, flamboyant, where you put on the colours. It's also your opposite energy of Leo. So you could be dealing with a Leo person. But the sunflowers, to me, ask you that when the sun goes away and things become dark, can you turn to the people in your life for support? Because that's apparently what sunflowers do. I don't know if that's true, but they require the sun, but when the sun goes away, they turn inwards to each other and they share energy. Can you do that with the people in your life? If you can, they're the people that you need to keep. If you can't, if they're draining your energy, if they're taking away your energy, that's what the eclipse would like you to let go of. I got cut off there, that was so strange. So, we'll continue. The overall energies of this month, particularly with Mercury retrograde in Cancer, your sector of habits, it's asking you to revisit the way that you treat your body, the way that you treat your health, be it mental, be it physical, the way that you do live your day, and if it suits you or not. Before the eclipse, you have ample time to revisit it, to re-examine it, to figure out what it is that makes you happy, what it is that's no longer working for you, what it is that you'd like to replace with that energy. And then, of course, Mars enters Aries on the 27th of June, putting a swing in your step for how you communicate, and you will say what you want, you will do what you want, you will be able to go after the things that make you your own authentic self, that you can speak about. It's the third house, it's communication, the way that you express yourself. You know, that's a lot to do with many things, your style, your communication style, your connections. Everything is an extension of you. The sun energy is, of course, Leo's energy, which represents your relationships. Venus retrograde in your sector of love is likely to keep the door somewhat open. If you have not yet heard from somebody from the past, you probably will in June. Be it a big deal, be it a small deal, it's all to do with a bigger picture. Could be, of course, that some relationships, they were bad timing in many ways. Whatever, they can reconnect, for sure. Others are to teach you something. 8 of Wands. For a lot of you, you will be traveling in June. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know why, but the sun in the 8 of Wands says that, yeah, you definitely will be traveling, particularly by August with Leo season. I always think the sun is a big harbour to Leo season. You'll be moving somewhere, you'll be visiting somewhere, you will be going somewhere wonderful. But it's also a lot to do with the energy just opening up and good opportunities coming to you. Good vibrations coming to you, lovely connections, lovely messages, lovely exciting experiences. Exciting is the main word, I think, with the sun and the 8 of Wands. You want more excitement in your life. You want more opportunities. Come here. Knight of Cups, 2 of Wands. For a lot of you that want love, it could come in quite quick and it could be quite serious. 2 of Wands is a lot to do with stepping into new relationships. Knight of Cups is a lot to do with love and romance. Of course, there is the caveat that yes, the Knight of Cups could be a past person. Doesn't have to be. It could be somebody brand new. But Venus is going to be in your sector of love right up until August. So if love is something that you want, stay poised. Continue doing what you're doing. The chances are, I always find with Aquarians that would like romance that don't seem to be finding it, it's often to do because you are putting a lot of energy into something inauthentic. And I know that sounds, I think that type of expression of communication makes an Aquarius go, ugh. But there's such a conditioning within you to be authentic. And yes, there is that resistance to change, but there is this conditioning in you to be your most unique self, and to stand up for others, and to respect others, and to make others feel connected of something wonderful, which is why you can get very stuck in places where you're giving a lot and people are expecting a lot of you, yet they don't always see your contribution. They don't always see that you are the thread that keeps everything together. So oftentimes when you see an Aquarius leave a group, the group falls apart, as I was referring to earlier with groups, like boy bands or girl bands or whatever, creative endeavors. So if there's something in your life that you're not living authentically, something in your life that you just know is not part of who you are right now, this is the month to take steps in that direction. This is the month to take steps into something that's more in alignment with who you are. And that's when more authentic people come into your life, when you're 100% who you are, when you're 100% certain of it. And if you're certain of it now, that's great. But check where you could be a little bit less stuck. Because you can have this. This is beautiful energy. 2 of Wands, Knight of Cups. You can have that kind of love. You can have that kind of partnership. You can have that kind of romance. Your cards so far are so beautiful. The lunar eclipse in Sagittarius is also opposite Venus in your romantic sector, and it's also square Mars in your money sector. So there is a lot of change in a lot of areas, a lot of places to re-examine, a lot of places to redefine, a lot of places to consider, is this working for me anymore? Does this feel good? Or do I feel trapped? Devil. Saturn is in your sign, asking you to put a bit more focus on you. Again, as I said, leaving the groups, the responsibilities, the wider networks that are just draining you. For some of you, that could be social media. For some of you, it could be a complete online detox. Leaving the places, the energies that make you feel bondaged. It's not a word. Bonded. It's like a bondage feeling. You feel trapped. You feel shackled. For a lot of you, it's unhealthy energetic cords. You can see with the devil energy that they are shackled. And I can't help but feel it's almost like, because the chains are around their neck, it's like you can't communicate who you are. You don't feel like you can verbalize who you are. You don't feel like you can completely communicate what you want to say. And Saturn wants you to. Saturn wants you to be yourself. Saturn wants you to see, who am I really? And what do I have to say? Mars going into Aries. Now Mars is going to retrograde in your communication sector, so it's going to be a big theme over the next few months of being able to communicate who you are, being able to, saw that, Hermit, looking inward to see who you really are, looking inward for answers, finding answers within the self. You could be dealing with a Capricorn or a Virgo, earth sign energy. But in terms of finding what is keeping you trapped or what is keeping you addicted, you have to do a little bit of inner reflection, a little bit of inner work, a little bit of, looking in retrospect with the retrogrades going on, reflect, revisit, retrospect. What could I have done differently back then? And it's okay to admit where you made a mistake or you did something you wish you hadn't. Saturn is asking you to revisit, where is my life not working anymore? And where would I like to welcome in some new energies? This is a beautiful thing about eclipse season. What you let go of is so quickly replaced with something exciting, something more fitting, because it's kind of the law of the universe that when you let go of something, you make a space for something, the universe has to fill it. So perhaps for a lot of you, it's new friendships. Perhaps for a lot of you, it's new work colleagues. Perhaps for a lot of you, it's a new financial venture, a new job. Perhaps for a lot of you it's a new relationship. Perhaps for a lot of you it is a new style, a new identity, a new path. Just so happens that you got to let go of the stuff that's not working anymore. A lot of people fear the Ten of Swords. It's because it looks scary AF, but it's more to do with the fact that I actually kind of like it, because it means the worst is over. It means that the sun is rising again. It means that you've taken too much that even you can't deny it anymore. Fixed sign problems. You think because it's familiar you can make it work, you can make it go, you can keep it going, even when it's hurting you, even when your own body is saying, I cannot do this anymore. Cancer energy, the Cancerian season, the new moon solar eclipse in Cancer with your body, it's asking you where you're just doing too much, or you're just putting too much pressure on yourself to make things work when they are so past their sell-by date. You know, if you saw a block of cheese in the fridge that was a year out of date and it was going blue and it was going moldy, would you keep it? You might actually, if it was like blue cheese. That's not a good example. Something that goes rancid. If it was long past its overdue date, eat by, sell by, whatever in the fridge, would you do it? Would you eat a moldy pear? I don't think you would. Unless it's a delicacy. I don't think you do it. Basically something in your life has gotten to that point, and a big part of June, in amidst the beautiful energies that I still have down here, the Sun, the Eight of Wands, Knight of Cups, the Two of Wands, there is a bit of introspection, and it's a lot to do with, what's inside of you. It's not that everything around you is going to come crashing down. It just that change is kind of scary. Change involves a lot of self-reflection. You can't go into a new phase without some introspection, without some adaptability, without learning to be flexible. It's not easy, but it's worth it. The beautiful message of the Fool card is that in a new beginning, we can, of course, view the future as this anxious thing, as this unpredictable thing. It's probably why we like astrology and we like tarot, right? This scary thing on the other side of the cliff that involves a leap of faith, that involves a new venture. But we still have to do it. Every so often we have to do this. And what's fantastic for you is that the Ten of Swords followed by the Fool means that the worst is over and there are brighter skies ahead. I said in the Scorpio reading, because I just noticed, we started off with the Sun and we have the Ten of Swords, and it's quite similar in the sense that oftentimes when things start to get brighter, we're more aware of shadows. They're more pronounced. They're more obvious. And eclipses are so much to do with shadows, right? Blocking out the light to look inward. And you're so close to getting a new way of life that you would love, that you deserve. And it's casting a bit of a shadow, and you're seeing where your own self-sabotaging behaviours lie. Why you're doing the things that you do to stop yourself getting to where you really want to go. Most people are not afraid of being powerless. They're more afraid of their own personal power. Saturn in your sign can really show you where that's the case. Where you maybe are overdue a change. But when nothing is certain, anything is possible. And that's where you are. So, the future is bright. I'll draw a couple more cards and then we'll get into the extended. Seven of Pentacles. Something's sticking out there. Seven of Pentacles is so much to do with the seeds that we have sown and how they grow and how we start to see them sprout, and sometimes we get impatient with the things that are growing. We sometimes get impatient with knowing when their season is. The truth is they know what they're doing. They know that they're going to get to where they need to go. They know when their season is. Humans are taught to go along with a new structure rather than follow the seasons, rather than trust nature. I think a lot to do with this leap of faith that you have to take, Aquarius, is simply trusting in knowing what it is that you actually want for yourself and knowing that you can have it. I think it's understanding that a new reality is of course possible to you, because you understand that your purpose in life is to change the world. It is to change society. It is to go with the future. It is to be innovative. It is to be an individual, but also part of society. To be an individual that influences society. But sometimes you get so frustrated with society that it makes you want to destroy it. And that's what your self-sabotage is. You know, you don't always, you know, with of course with the law, you have to follow the law. But with the way things are, you don't always feel like with protests and stuff, the way that they're being handled now, you know, the violence in the world, you don't always feel like you can make that social change. And it's frustrating for Aquarians that oftentimes you can take that out on yourself. Queen of Wands. But you're being asked to be patient with yourself, be patient with your passions, be patient with your season. You could of course be dealing with a fire sign that you have to be very patient with. You could of course be dealing with an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius that's requiring a lot of respect. It's requiring a lot of patience. It's requiring a lot of waiting. But it's worth it. There goes the moon. So what do we want here? We want to not self-sabotage, Five of Pentacles underneath. In not self-sabotaging, we find healing, Temperance. Be very patient with a Sagittarius. Very patient. The moon. The Sagittarius eclipse is going to be very transformative. About your passions, about your career, about your dreams, your aspirations, the way that you live, the way that you work. All of it. Be very patient with it. It's a healing process. It is uncomfortable, the level of change that we feel in June at times. But it's also very exciting. Not to say that it won't be scary, but it's very exciting. What's unfamiliar is both scary and exciting at the same time, and for many of you that seems to be a really beautiful romantic relationship. For some of you it seems to be a really scary and transformative change in your chosen path, your chosen profession. But where you're making that space, where you're making that change, you have to be patient. And you have to let it transform, you have to let it occur. Because what you're seeking is seeking you. Get into the extended, we'll go into if you're dealing with a fire sign, water sign, earth sign, air sign, all that good stuff in there. A more in-depth look at the cards, more in-depth look at the astrology. But for now, if we're leaving it here, bye Aquarius, have a wonderful June.